3 minutes late.
We're a lot late. It's okay. All right. Oh, all right. We're live. Yeah. We're late. 18 minutes, 19 minutes. It is January 30th, 2026, the year of our Lord, 2026, as Steve Bannon says. So, busy week, lots of fun things, exciting things. I'll kick it off with some of the things we saw in Minnesota and what we've seen with Tom Homan and some things like that. And then we can kind of figure out what other people want to chat about. But I know a lot of people are, and even Steve Bannon, those guys talk about it. They want to go full speed. Let's call it Insurrection Act in Minnesota and send in troops and all that kind of stuff. I'm all for it, but also understand we got to win the midterms, and also understand. And to me, it was a message. I don't know, a lot of people that were upset about certain things when they're like, "Oh, he's going to back off or take off." The one guy, what's his name? That was running the show up there.
No.
Bannon or something.
No.
It was
Bovino.
Bovino, yes. And I like that guy. I mean, I like what he's doing too.
Border chief.
Yes. But when they sit there and say they're going to send in Tom Homan, I'm like, oh, they're not sending in a compromiser. Because I mean, we've had Tom Homan here in Greenville speaking at our events in the past. And do you want to take a pause? Sure. We are going to take a pause. Call to order. It is David's birthday.
You guys ready?
Happy birthday. We're going to sing another happy birthday, our second in the month of January.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear David. Happy birthday to you.
Can you roll it out? He did it. Hey.
Fantastic. Happy birthday. We just lost about half of our viewers, but that's okay. No. David is an Air Force vet. I wasn't exactly sure what service he was in, but I was asking him today. He was an Air Force, or as we in college called it, Chair Force. He was Chair Force vet.
You just start jealous because we were the smart ones.
Yeah. We're jealous because y'all had a golf course on your military bases. So, I mean, it's like, okay. Now I learned something. I should have been a checkbox for recruiters. But Dave was also is retired from the U.S. Post Office. So we definitely don't want to upset a former postal.
No.
It's a friendly joke we have around here. So we actually have several people that work for the post office, and I will volunteer that my great grandmother was the postmistress for Green Pond, the post office in Green Pond, South Carolina. Yes. So if you know, Green Pond is right outside of Walterboro. She was the postmistress there for.
I thought you were from Georgia.
Apparently I'm a carpetbagger from Georgia. But my great grandmother, and I did know my great grandparents, because they lived I think she lived to be like 92 or 94. My great grandfather lived to be 97. And
Jeff's parents were very young when they had.
Yes, they were very young, and none of my parents or grandparents were very happy about that. So there was a lot of consternation in my family about how young my parents had me. So, but I guess my dad was trying to get out of Vietnam. I don't know. I'm just joking about that. But Green Pond is right outside of Walterboro, and she was the postmistress for the post office across the street. They owned the building, and they owned the general store. And they lived through the Depression, which was the big deal. And then when I would go to Walterboro, I would go with my grandparents to the grocery store. We would see and run into folks, and they were obviously much older at the time, but folks that they had literally fed during the Depression. They had a general store, so they had access to food and all that kind of stuff. And that was that's a community in a neighborhood, taking care of each other, of actually feeding folks. But allegedly, my great-great-grandfather, who had a bank back then, it went bad in the Depression. So that's why I'm not a billionaire, amongst other things. And I will tell you, oldest family during communism, their business was the food. markets and bringing stuff from Germany and all that kind of stuff. And quite frankly, I don't think we all understand how important food is.
Oh, yeah, indeed.
Food. People starving and all that kind of stuff, and rations, and so being in the food business, grocery business, what have you, or farms and production and such, it's kind of they became the important people. So they also apparently have access to alcohol. The military generals and stuff wanted alcohol. So oh, they made it in the case.
Yeah, it's still.
I'm always making
It in the South.
a good still will go a long way. Ask the kiddies who were running alcohol and all that kind of
From
stuff.
prohibition, right?
So, but to find a girl from Poland and communist Poland that they actually owned their house is quite convenient. How did you own a house under communism? I'm not quite sure. Alcohol. I'll trade you a barrel of alcohol for an house. They probably did. But the funny thing is, and I'll just make this last comment, we'll go back to Minnesota, but she was actually they had a house and all that kind of stuff, and there's a longer story to it. But she was always the little girl, because most families lived in these literal high-rise buildings, apartment complexes, where the parents had a pull-out couch in the main living room, and that's where they sleep. That's their bedroom. They put the boy in one room, the girl in the other room, or in one other room, I guess. But I mean, it was tough living. But she actually wished she lived in the high-rise with all the other kids, as opposed to having a
We
house.
all were together in one building, right? All my friends, and I had to walk 10 minutes to our big home where I had my own room.
Oh, well,
It's how you think you own something. You don't know.
Key is everybody else.
So you were high society.
My parents worked hard and they provided for us.
So everybody, the key is everybody wants something that they don't have, And but they did also have an outhouse, an in-use outhouse in the 80s and 90s.
Well,
Probably still is. They had some tenants that live in the house when they first bought it, and as they moved out, they would, take the rest of the house into theirs.
when I was born, we had a bathroom. Probably that was the first year. My brother, my parents were using an outhouse while they were awaiting my brother.
So,
Wow.
I mean, it's not that far removed. I mean, we're very fortunate here in America. We should appreciate that. The people that gets back to Minnesota, the people bitching and moaning and protesting in the streets don't actually realize how fortunate they are. Yes, they may want to share it with illegal immigrants, but you know what? You have to build it yourself. We're taking people away from countries that should be building and creating things in their own country, and it's kind of part of my belief there.
I guess one more, the bathroom thing. My grandmother had passed, I remember we were in Charleston, maybe 2012. She had a toilet that put in when I lived here already. So sometime in early 2000, she had never ever, until the day she passed, she had running water, not like a tub or a shower. She lived in what do you call it,
Government retirement community for the coal mines.
Oh.
Because they're a big coal mining
They
community.
wash in big washtub type.
and then like a plastic, like a big plastic.
Oh my gosh. She had a toilet in her thing, but it was only, by the front door outside of the main area, but it only had a curtain to be pulled
Jeff
around.
visited her apartment.
Yeah.
But it was the cleanest apartment
Perfectly clean.
would have ever been. She
And-
painted until she died at the age of probably 89 or 90. She would clean that apartment once a year.
Oh, wow.
Just refresh.
Wow.
Good gosh.
That's how.
And just to throw another sidebar in there, she was actually taken by the Germans when she was 16. Germany invaded Poland September 1st, 1939. And for the 30th. Was September 1st or 30th? September 1st, 1939. And she was conscripted or taken as a 16-year-old girl to Germany to be a nanny to a German Nazi family. She said she was in 1940. So, I mean, it's, they took slaves. I mean, it's not pretty.
To fight.
Yes, her fiance was conscripted. He was part of, I guess they added him into the, they took people from the conquered lands and stuck them in their army, just like the Romans did and all that kind of stuff. And so his big thing was, or no, it wasn't him, but it was another gentleman that we met over there. He had served in the Polish army initially. When the Germans took over, they conscripted him into the German army. And then I think when that army got caught, he got added to the Free Polish Army that was under British rule there. So his joke was he had to learn to salute in 3 different, there is 3 or 4 different ways, during his tour of the 5 or 6 years of World War II. So it's people have literally no idea what went on in World War II. I mean, and I like watching those documentaries and all that stuff, and it gives you an appreciation for what we have, but also gives you reason to fight for what we have.
But to finish the story, my grandmother came back from the war. My grandfather came back, and they got married on Christmas Day of 1945. So, and they were married after we passed.
Yeah.
And they were not my real grandparents, by the way. It was another long story. We're not blood related, but they were my grandparents.
In Poland, everybody's a grandparent, everybody's a cousin. Oh, that's my cousin, and nobody's actually related. So I don't know.
We're all related somehow.
I mean, we're all related somewhere, but they're all cousins. So, all right, enough of that. But it does kind of reflect upon, in my impression, what goes on in Minnesota and that stuff. And there's a lot of talk about who these people are as agitators and that type of stuff. I think one person I saw commenting on it over last night was calling it agitprop. So agitation propaganda, agitprop, and how they're pushing this stuff out there. But they're really trying to change the narrative, and I think we all agree that trying to change the narrative from the fraud that's going on, and that's pretty clear. We actually, one of the things that we caught, that Alex Preddy guy who was shot, or involved in that incident, and since then there's been a lot of stuff that has come out about him.
Oh yeah, he's no angel.
No, he was no angel whatsoever, and even on the video, I mean, he was attacking and spitting at ICE agents at a different location and kicking their vehicle.
A week prior to that.
Well, was it a week prior? Because he was wearing the same stuff. But I'm like, in theory, if he had been arrested, then he'd probably be still in jail, or would not be dead.
The local magistrate would let him go.
Well, that's if the local magistrate had done his job and kept him in jail for that. You can't interfere with law enforcement.
I heard that Alex Preddy had several rounds of, cartridges of guns on
Well, yeah, he had a he
and I understood also. Now I don't even. This wasn't neither one are verified, but I also heard that he had a silencer on his gun.
I've not heard that.
But the funny thing is most people don't understand the gun he was carrying was a SIG P320.
Right.
SIG P320 is the most dangerous weapon you can carry, because it has a tendency to accidentally discharge on its own. So when the officers were taking the weapon away from him, it could have discharged, and that may have been the round that they heard, and that's what made them all.
And it could have been a discharge while the officers. I mean, there's a whole lot of things out there, but
one of them took that gun and ran with it and put it somewhere else. That's what I remember seeing.
He got it away
because
he's like, I don't want this thing near me either.
Oh yeah, I wouldn't want to touch it. You're right about that. But as I was taught, and a lot of us have done the concealed the trainings and all that kind of stuff, the NRA training and the other trainings that they give you. If you're carrying a weapon, you have a responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
I can maybe be a little more whatever if I'm not carrying a weapon, but if I've got a weapon, I need to disclose that. I need to be more careful. I mean, what they taught us was, if you have a weapon in the car and you're pulled over for a traffic ticket, you inform the police officer that it's there. Because, these guys and girls that are in the line of service, they don't know who you are.
Yep.
They just know that they're doing their job or they're going after something. How many officers have been shot, trying to get a traffic ticket?
Yep.
Much less trying to go arrest somebody and enforce the law and all that kind of stuff. So
it's kind of
not everyone knows this, but I was at January 6th. So I was there. I saw all of it. And what we did is we didn't carry any weapons. Nothing. Not a knife, not a stick, Okay.
And I'm not sure what's legal in DC, but what
No,
I do
no,
what I
you
do
don't
recall
carry a gun in DC,
Yeah.
but
what I do recall is legal in DC was marijuana because I could smell that
Yeah.
everywhere.
Yeah.
That's why it's a good joke.
the whole point is that if he's at a protest, the last thing you want to carry is any kind of weapon.
Right.
And so, yeah, that's what concerns me about that whole mess. So
We're not in a battle against law enforcement. You're going to something where you know there's going to be plenty of law enforcement to protect the community there.
yeah.
You know, he took a weapon to something that he knew law enforcement would be there because law enforcement was there.
Yeah.
Well,
That's
a
And to
problem.
participate
Was-
aggressively against law enforcement.
Yeah.
So I think that's an illegal thing as well. You don't
Well,
want
yeah,
Oh, well, that's
No,
clearly.
yeah.
The other catch, though, is he was a licensed CWP holder, but he didn't have his license with him. He didn't have his driver's license on
Didn't have
him.
any idea.
So therefore, he was no longer legally carrying in the state of Minnesota. Uh,
I mean, and I'm not knocking he carried a gun. I mean, a lot of us do, but you know, I don't like to chamber around, so I have that. You know,
No,
What?
and apparently he must have had a round chamber.
I was keep around chamber.
you know, I get it, you know, but if there's no
I was keep
signal,
around chamber.
that's me. I just like to have that time frame that I have to rack it. But,
If somebody's charging you and they're only 6 feet away, you don't have time
That's
to
true.
rack it.
that is true.
I know, but
I agree.
but yeah, and there's been more things that have come out about it. I would like Olga to share an article that we wrote and put out on Sunday because after I watched all that kind of stuff, and I don't know if everybody noticed in the background, it was on the street. There was a business that was right behind them. So there's he got shot right there on the street. He was walking on the sidewalk. Look at the business that was behind him.
What deal with something?
Yes, it was the New American. What was the new?
184 businesses were in there and they're all fraudulent businesses.
Well-
Within 2 minutes of them arriving, the protesters were there.
Yeah, but my point is there was a building right behind the shooting, not a learning or learning center, but it was a business called the New American Development Center, and it's got the star and the crescent, and I'm like,
Yeah.
what in the heck can that be? So what I did is I went and Googled that, and then guess what it is? It's a nonprofit run by some Somalian who makes $163 a year, $163,000 a year. They get 1.4 million in grants last year, 2024. And if you kind of look at I can read an IRS Form 990, which is the tax return. You know, you can kind of tell, 40,000 even in lobbying here and this there. They're not really helping a lot of people out of poverty, except perhaps the executive director, whoever they're paying this other stuff to. But it's just one more example that's even outside the scope of the daycare centers. That I think if the IRS went and looked at this thing, you probably dig up all kinds of jazz. And it didn't say where the money, which particular government grant or what state, local, federal, that type of stuff. But there's just, and I think somebody made a comment here earlier, there's like 3 point or whatever. I mean, some massive number of government grants that are out there. We've always joked that, there's a $5 million, study for the sexual preference of tree frogs and whatever. And it's like, why are people spending money on these types of things, or why is the government funding those types of things? And we've all talked about Ukraine and all these other things are some simple money laundering. Why are they doing something in Baghdad about what was it? It was they were doing plays. I think $30 million for some of plays for Sesame Street. Baghdad, I'm like, but it's like, 28 million of it came right back to the United
Do
States.
you remember the Osama bin Laden image that showed up on the internet way back? It had Angry Bird in it.
Oh, really?
I'll find it somewhere. So there's a joke on the internet about this Angry Bird pictures, and it shows up, and it's just a meme. And they had in the backdrop of a bunch of folks, I assume radical, which is just general people, but behind was a large poster that was printed, and it had Osama bin Laden on it, and it looked, patriotic in their way, right? And it had Angry Bird in it. So,
That's probably where they figured it out. I mean,
well,
who
no, I
really
think what
knows?
happened is somebody, they saw the image on the internet, they said, oh, that looks so cool, and it was a joke. And they grabbed it and printed it up in a big, poster and used it for propaganda, in Afghanistan, but they didn't realize it was a
There's so many of these types of things that are out there that I just think if and this is what to me again is Doge. This is, if we think this is only going on in Minnesota, I can assure you it's going on here. It's everywhere, and it may be more hidden or maybe more disguised or something, but I will assure you it is here, and we need to ferret it out, which is another reason I'm a big fan of what Mike Burkhold, who came up and talked about, from the controller's office, what he's talking about is democratizing the data so we can actually see all of the contracts, authorizing the payments. Curtis Loftus, his Treasury Department, cuts the checks, but he cuts the checks that the comptroller tells him that have been approved. So the comptroller's office actually looks at the contract to make sure the amount's correct, and checks the box and attaches all stuff and sends it to the treasurer's office. So if we can get that type of data, in 27, 28, people ought to be digging into that stuff all day. I would love to see a list of all the checks cut by Greenville County, to vendors, and really be able to dig into that type of stuff. There's so many ways I know as an accountant to things to be a little like misreported, kind of hidden in there, and you can kind of see it. It's like understanding political language or understanding, how the bills are written and those types of things. It's not necessarily common sense, and you can really hide a lot of stuff with numbers. And that's what we want to be able to do. And I think what David Pasco's talking about with this public corruption unit, that's what people will be able to find. And we need to be able to find it, tell them, not overreact to stuff, but when there's something seriously there, we ought to be able to go after it and prove it and show it to people. So that, and just, again, I don't know if I kind of finished it, but, sending Tom Holman in there, if he gets an agreement from those people, because I don't think they're going to back off, and I think it's funny that they actually are asking us, the governor, because those folks are the ones that have it, give us the voter logs that you're supposed to. That's going to help us on what you saw happen in Georgia this past week, where they raided the Fulton County election documentation stuff. A lot of us have thought there's criminal activity going on, and that's how we're going to, you got to look at the data. And I think a lot of this stuff has been building. And again, as we talked about last week, Trump hinted at it in Davos. I'm like, he's moved from Greenland to election stuff. And lo and behold, 6 days later, 5 days later, from what he said in Davos, they're actually raiding Fulton County. So, I mean, that's got a lot of our people on the election integrity side, pretty excited. And we're going to do something probably late February, middle of March, with some of our other friends on the election integrity side. So we're scheduling that up with the 3rd District Chair and Laura Shar's Sucker on Safe Elections. So we're going to do that here in Greenville to kind of promote some of that stuff and explain to people how it works and demonstrate how, you can do a hand count. You can do a hand count, and it is not that difficult. Laura Shaw and those guys, with their gold standard of elections, they've got a way to do it, and it's obviously economical, but it's quick and easy, and people, we can do it if we want to. They count it. They do single day voting, paper ballots, and hand counting. So it's all hand counting.
I remember when I
You can
started.
do it with 30 million people. You can do it with 330 million people. Yes, sir.
I remember when I was first started voting, that's the way it was.
Yes. Yes.
And it was still on paper.
Yeah, and I think there's a lot of people that don't think about it. We're in a community that thinks and talks about it, but we need to teach other people about it. And like even with David Pasco, running for Attorney General, somebody asked him at a meeting we were at in another county what he thought about paper ballots. I don't think he had ever necessarily thought about the issue, right? And that's okay, because I don't think it's part of the community or from the solicitor's office, that they would be talking about. But he made the comment, I kind of like it the old fashioned way. When I used to, in the old days, vote on a piece of paper. I don't want the hanging chad, all that kind of stuff that we'll get into. But I certainly know if you're doing it all electronic and it's mass data files, it's so easy to get in there and change it. And I don't know why people deny that. I get that you want things to be more efficient and all that kind of stuff, but do you want it to be more efficient, faster results? I'm not even sure it's necessarily fast results, or maybe, and then it's not even cheaper. Are people proving that the scan and all this stuff can be done cheaper than having potential for false elections? We don't need false elections. I know way too many people have told me they don't go vote because they don't trust it. And I'm like, holy cow, you're on our side. And I understand your frustration. And, the only thing we can do until we get the law change is to, outvote the fraud, overwhelm. It's so much.
Silence
That's what silence is compliance. Refusal to even go participate is compliance with it. That's what you've got to do. But, that's a whole other story of our people or folks on our side that don't want to do the work. All of this that we're doing, it is a ton of work. I promise you, I work more than 40 hours a week and I get paid zero. And it's kind of like, this is ridiculous. This is a 24/7 cause that we're trying to do and that we're all trying to do, but you got to do work as opposed to, I'm just frustrated. I'm not going to go vote. Yes, sir.
That's exactly the same way by people just saying, I'm not going to get involved. How DEI got its foothold with the government because people who cared did nothing.
Right.
And so it's going to happen with everything else. It happened in the Presbyterian Church USA, and it's happening everywhere.
Yeah.
Good people be quiet.
We got to get involved, and we got to get more people involved. And talked with David, and we talked with you guys. Earlier this week, we met with you. There's a lot of things as we kind of come out. I apologize, we haven't gotten a lot of it started earlier, but we're going to be driving a lot of things to increase membership, increase participation in your individual precincts, so in our zones and all that kind of stuff, so we can do really well in reorg at 27, and then just get more people committed to voting. And one of the things our guys in Zone 7, I think one of our guys called it Team 7. It's our zone. We were supposed to have a meeting on Wednesday. It got canceled. Those guys kept wanting to have the meeting. I'm like, it's going to be cold. People are canceling churches, all that kind of stuff. They still wanted to have the meeting. I'm like, y'all know it's just going to be like us. Nobody wants to come out of this stuff. I don't even want to come out. And lo and behold, and I would say, thankfully, the library closed early, so we did not have a space. So that's why we had to cancel the meeting and move it to later this.
I'm sure they didn't move the meeting up prior to the library.
Oh yes, they could have said, instead of meeting at 6, we're going to be at 4. But no, thankfully they just we canceled the meeting and or rescheduled it shortly thereafter. So, but what they're wanting to do, and Bob Bugos mentioned it here last Friday, is have something like a pledge just to come out and vote. If we can get our neighbors, hey, we're not asking you to come out and do all this stuff. We just want you to come out and vote. And I think we can run some numbers and analytics, and tell you how many people you should get to turn out in your precinct. If your precinct only has a 10% turnout, for a Republican primary, can you get it up to 15%? Or if you're at the average, which I think was like 12 or 14%, can you get it to 20? And I would love to say, here, we'll give a plaque or a prize or something like that, or a donut with a candle on it. If you get
Donut with a donut.
Most improved, precinct, or if you can get it up. But there's a lot of people that talk about, we want to get increased voter turnout. Yeah. I'm like, well, what are you doing? You got to do something. And I actually kind of like.
I do.
Yes, guess what? And we talked about it last week. People want to get things done. I will give you a plan. I can, that's, Trump, you give him something. He's like, okay, I can tell you how to fix that.
Yeah.
He's got the ability to do it. There's a way to do it. And I certainly believe in coming up with a plan, making it easier and more efficient. We don't need to, spin our wheels too much, but don't tell me you don't want to do anything. This comply, I call it laziness. I call it lack of being able or comfortable being engaged. We all have to come out of our shell and do something. I mean, I was a tax attorney, CPA. I'm very comfortable sitting in a cube and doing tax returns and all that kind of stuff, not having to talk to anybody. Give me a box, give me all your shoe boxes and stuff. This is the old days.
Oh, okay.
And hopefully, I would love it to be the next Jeff Davis. Go back to just sitting around doing tax returns in a cube. I'll be very happy. I'd be happy being a ditch digger, and not having to do stuff. And I will tell you, even in us historically, I've always functioned as kind of the number one or the number two guy underneath the boss that gets out there and does stuff. Presley was kind of our guy. Presley was the public face and figure and all that stuff. But when Presley, was passed, or when Presley was murdered, but with remdesivir and a freaking ventilator, because the hospitals were ridiculous. And I actually talked to a good friend of ours that said they actually provided Presley and those guys with ivermectin and all that kind of stuff at the time when he was in the hospital. And they wouldn't let him take it. And it may have been too late at that time. I don't think we all knew, when we have friends that get COVID and stuff now, folks jump on it immediately. The sooner you take care of this stuff. I mean, a simple example, whenever I get a sore throat, I'm popping, vitamin C pills like crazy. Apparently you can take as much, but it's always worked for me. And if these things work, and I've seen it work with a lot of people that have gotten COVID, they start taking some extra dosage of ivermectin and all that kind of stuff, and it works. I'm not a doctor, I can't prove anything, but anecdotally it works, and I'm like, it doesn't hurt you, so what the heck? Why not try it? So go for it. Even my doctor with our cancer stuff, he's a believer in what's the acupuncture.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know anything about acupuncture, but I'm willing to try it out if you think it'll help and all that kind of stuff, and do the traditional stuff and do the alternative stuff. But we got to get people involved. But think about getting people in your precinct just to get them to commit to come vote in the June 9th primaries. Hey, I'll give you a reminder. I'm not going to add you to a list. You start getting a bunch of, win red text messages, which we don't send out anyhow, but that, or stuff like that. But can we get you to commit to coming out to vote? And I think it might be a way to get more people to participate. And at least gives us, it's a plan, it's a challenge. It gets us an ability to say, hey, I'll give you a reminder, but it's coming up here. I'll give you a reminder about the vote and where to go and early voting and all that kind of stuff, number one. But what we will provide is a voter guide. Here's the races. You're going to know the ones in your precinct. Here's the races. Here's the big whatever, 6 or whatever with from the statewide perspective. And here's what we got going on in the county and with your house rep and all that kind of stuff.
I also take some of my neighbors to the voting polls.
Terry will drive you. And that's actually something to learn about the people in your precinct. And we talked about it earlier this week, but I mean, when we did our reorg in our precinct, we showed up 50 some odd people, almost 60 people. That was like unheard of. Most precincts show up with 1, 2, one person, no people, 4 people, that type of thing. We showed up 60, crushed the rhinos, voted them out. And I will tell you, even in my precinct, we called them the 4 horsemen, or was it 3? It was like a former president of the upstate Republican women, the chaplain. It was the first vice chair from the Greenville GOP, and it was somebody, but it was all people involved. And we got up there, and a whole bunch of us around in a circle, and we had our 40 some odd people, and they had their 12. They brought their husbands, and that was about it. They all got up and read their resume about what they had done, and I'm like, nobody gives a darn about what you've done. Oh, I worked with Ronald Reagan in 1980 and blah, blah, blah. I get it. I got up there. I didn't tell them what I'd done. I said, this is what I want to do. This is what we're working to accomplish and take care of. And I told them what we were going to do.
What meeting was this?
This was the reorg of 2021 for my precinct, for our individual precinct. And, every vote, 45, 12. 45, 12, but they kept going through until we got down to the lower levels, and I think they finally realized it was over, and we just all voted and moved on from there. But they, I had to stay there because one of the things we taught people is stay to the end, because I have seen votes change. I mean, that would have been a pretty phenomenal one to change, but they did mess around with some things, so we had to stay to the end. And of course, it took them like 3.5 hours to count everything and reconcile the money and all that kind of stuff. And it was funny. One of the things I'm a big thing, I don't touch money, because if you touch money, they're going to accuse you of something. Oh, we had an extra $20 bill here, is now missing. He stole $20, that type of stuff. They asked me if I wanted to help count the money. I'm like, no, I'm not touching it. I mean, but I will tell you, it was a setup. It was a pure setup that they were, they didn't want me to participate in it. Oh, but do you want to help count the money? I'm like, oh yeah, I'm not sorry, but I mean, I'll help you with anything but counting the money. And it's just that's who they are, and they're trained this way. We talk about it in Minnesota with these, agitators up there. They go to these trainings, and you know what? There's people on our side go to these trainings that are trained how to agitate, or they just learned it over their history. They're the mean girls from high school. They're, all that kind of stuff. They know how to be nasty. And it's like, and this is not just me saying it. This is a lot of people saying it. This is a lot of people from their own organizations and groups saying it. And a lot, and it's hard for us to see that other human beings do that. But I mean, go watch a documentary from World War II or something else, and you see a bunch of otherwise nice, kind people shooting somebody in the back of the head. They will do that. And it is not nice, but it's human nature. It's been going on for thousands of years, and we haven't changed. Both of my grandfathers fought in World War II. I mean, they fought on our side, obviously, but I mean, think about somebody my age that was in Germany. Their grandfathers were fighting for the Nazis, or may have been Nazis, or may have been, guards at Auschwitz, which is 15 minutes from Olga's house. And her great uncle was actually Catholic, actually killed in Auschwitz, right? So murdered over there. I mean, they killed everybody, And I watched the documentary the other day. They actually killed a bunch of Germans after the war. I think it was like 600,000 Germans just got kind of disappeared, and 12,000 Germans were moved, in what they call the cleansing of kind of reverse, taking the Germans out of areas. There's a city just north of where Olga grew up. You go there, it's all German, but everything, all the churches and all the all written in German. Because guess what? They moved all the Germans out and moved all the Poles in. It happened, whether you like it or not. And that was actually done, by the the Americans and the Allies, because they were trying to split people up, hoping if you split them up, we won't have World War III. That created with all these infighting and all that kind of stuff.
Relocation.
There, and the way they draw lines, it's bizarre. But look at what Russia's doing right now. They're trying to take back lands that are have majority Russian speaking communities. And Mexico they're trying to invade America and take back some Mexico.
California back.
Yeah, they can have California.
Yeah, they can have California.
Yeah, the vote.
They can have California.
To get your precinct chairs, I train them how to door knock.
Yes, we do. We have video trainings and some stuff like that. We've done a lot of trainings here. We actually had somebody come, I guess from Arizona,
Yeah, we did.
and do it. We've got a lot of that stuff on film. I've been working with Jositino, getting all that kind of stuff that from when he was running our civic engagement committee, and get that out. But it takes we can set up meetings all day long. We can provide document it, but it takes somebody watching it and listening to it and reading, and then actually getting outside.
Well,
It's too cold right now to get outside. But what we do and what we've taken of our 151 precincts here, we've broken it down, and I stole it from York County, and actually the Rhinos in York County, from the old days. They broke the county down into regions. We got 151 precincts. I can't have 151 precinct meetings and us go to it, but we can break it down into 12 zones. We've taken 12 zones and associated precincts in those 12 zones, There's no easy way to do it. It's not perfect on county council. It's not perfect on houses. I mean, it's everything crosses over.
Talk about drawing lines. Just look at our county, how they draw
Yes,
lines.
yes, and they draw lines in all kinds of crazy ways. Arizona, for example, I think it's nice and easy. You got Arizona they only have like 12, 16 counties, whatever, but they, for every Senate seat, they take the Senate district, cut it in half, and that's House seat number 1, House seat number 2 in that Senate district. And then, think about that. I mean, we have crossover from House seats and Senate seats, and everything's confusing. That's why nobody knows who the hell they're voting on primary or even election day.
Yeah, why we even have elections.
They don't know. That's why they don't vote, because they're like, oh, I don't want to vote wrong. Like, well, guess what? If we can get people to commit to come vote, we can. I think the party has some responsibility to provide guidance. Our guidance is, hey, we're MAGA, America First folks. We believe in conservative stuff. We believe in the platform. We're not even trying to change anything in the platform. We just wish the Republicans would enforce the platform as is. We didn't even write it. You guys wrote it, and you guys don't enforce it. But if we just say that's who we are. Now, some people may say, oh, I'm going to vote exactly opposite of what those guys say. So I'm like, okay, that's what you want to do. But, that's okay. But I think there's more people that consider themselves conservatives, and they don't know who to vote for because they just get a bunch of mailers in the mail, and they see a bunch of signs, and they're just overwhelmed. So I think most people know that we participate, and then that we vet candidates, we talk to candidates, and then here's our list of folks. So that's why, even on those lists, we're like, oh, here's the list. Adam Morgan versus William Timmons. Adam Morgan won't talk to us. That's why Adam Morgan doesn't get a vote. Here's the list running for Senate. Paul Dans, Mark Lynch, Lindsey Graham. Mark Lynch won't talk to us. Who's going to vote for that guy? And that's the problem, and that's why we tried to reach out to him and those guys to kind of put a nail in that coffin and move on, and they refuse. But that's what's going to cost him. And you heard Steve Bannon sit there and say, in the interview on Monday night, that Lindsey Graham is essentially running unopposed. I don't think anybody thinks that Steve Bannon is a fan of Lindsey Graham because he bashes him all the time as kind of the ringleader of that group, the Rhinos and all that kind of stuff, the John Corson stuff, all that jazz out of Texas. But what do you do? What do you do? Keep trying, but I'm like, you don't tolerate people that got somebody who got involved and screwed our best opportunity to take him out. And that's my frustration with it. And I hope people learn from it. And I will tell you that statewide chats and the statewide stuff that we deal with, people that I would have thought would have been huge supporters of Mark Lynch, have now come out and said, oh, we think Paul Dans is the route to go.
Dan's coming our way then.
We're actually meeting with them tomorrow. They've got a new political consultant that's tied in with some stuff. So assuming I know that it's going to snow tomorrow, but I think he's supposed to be speaking at the Spartanburg camp meeting tomorrow, which is they did cancel it.
Oh, well, Camp canceled.
Camp did cancel.
Yes.
Okay. So I think, and I'm saying the meeting with them may even get canceled with us because I think it's supposed to start snowing tomorrow.
Just keep
No, they're back to 2.
making sure I know.
Three
got
is
you.
now.
Yeah, but I mean, I think you can get out there, check his social media, and hear what he has to say. He was the architect behind that project 2025. And I think they realized they needed to bring in some higher, level type people to help with. Well, he is coming to speak. I will say he's coming to speak at our February meeting. I'm sorry, not February, but the April meeting. So,
We're having a meeting? No,
yeah.
it's not a business.
But it will be the April meeting, and it will have Curtis Loftus, Paul Dans.
We'll see you there.
See you later.
Oh, and then maybe one other candidate,
Someone else.
the AG guy or agriculture guy.
Oh,
Oh,
So,
Fred
I mean,
West.
but he'll definitely be here in April. I know it's a little late in the game, but
West.
West, no, there's another candidate.
Another candidate, yeah.
Yes.
Just changing back to the previous subject, just an educational anecdote about meridian lines and acupuncture. I'm an electrical engineer. I did biomedical engineering. And then we left all that and got into the business world. But you can actually measure the electrical potential of the meridian lines in the body. And they're in the millivolt range, which is extremely small voltage, and very, very high current, which is in a microcurrent, which is 10 to the minus 6 amps. So think of, six places after the decimal point. And so there's actual scientific background for it, which very few doctors know about. But we did it in electrical engineering. We could measure the voltage levels through the tissues of the body. And my professor showed us how he had made a heart, brain stem tissue, and nerves in a petri dish.
Really?
By using voltage, amino acids, I imagine proteins and different chemical and biological substances. But from DNA, he created an entire heart in a petri dish, and we observed it.
Listen, they say they can grow meat in petri dishes, and we shouldn't be eating cows. I mean, so I can assume they can grow a heart and do all that kind of stuff.
Well, and think about how our electrical, stimulation of our body actually happens, because we do know there's an EKG measurement of the heart. So we do know that there are electrical signals and control systems.
And anybody that doesn't think this is affecting us
Yes,
as
exactly.
older adults, to think about it with children,
Right.
developing children.
So if you're talking about extremely small voltages and currents to keep us alive, obviously Wi-Fi radiation will be greatly, impacting the continuity and interference of those signals. And acupuncture would be like a little antenna, or, I'm just guessing, I really don't know, but I just imagine that what would happen, I do know for sure that your damaged tissue is a potential load. So you're not getting electrical transmission very well through any damaged tissue that you have in your body and trauma. And so by putting the acupuncture point, which is what they do right at that spot, I suppose helps conductivity and reestablishes for sure the voltage and the balance of the line. So,
And I will say, people
don't
probably
hesitate to use
no,
that.
people probably think that type of stuff sounds crazy, but I think it's real, and and I think science needs to look at it. Doctors need to look at it. Medical schools need to look at it, as opposed to what Pfizer is willing to sponsor at the medical school and all that kind of stuff. The problem is there's just not money behind it. Simple things with high dose vitamin C IVs.
There's profit behind it.
There's no profit.
Behind it.
No profit behind it.
An alternative, and we're talking about the vitamin C, there's an alternative medicine hospital in Tijuana, Mexico, that I was in 2020, in March, when the lockdowns were just being discussed. And the doctor there comes from a line of medical physicians who was working, he's the head of the alternative medicine clinic, and he healed people with cancer. And he showed me a book, a textbook from the pharmaceutical research company. I think it might have been Scripps, I can't remember exactly, or Medco, but it was a very well-known pharmaceutical company. And he opened up the pages and I read through it, using all the test studies they have done on vitamin C and ivermectin and various other things they have studied. And there was every herb known to man was in this book. And it showed the clinical results. They have absolutely studied this stuff to death and seen that it works, and then not publicize the information because it's bad for profit.
Yes, 100%. I think a lot of people agree with it.
Our nurse told you when
We asked about it.
for prescription for high dose vitamin C, just so the insurance will cover it, right? We can get it without prescription, but if they write a prescription, there is a chance the insurance will pay for it. So we asked about it, and what did they say?
Oh, she was at least honest enough to say, there aren't those CDC.
It's not part of the protocol because there is not enough data to say that you need it, and there is not enough data because there is not enough money behind it, so people can study it. That really was the answer. So they said, sorry, because it's not part of the protocol. We cannot prescribe.
It's just like politicians, just follow.
Yes. And what gets me, everybody thinks, CDC is sitting down there in Atlanta getting a bunch of government money, and they should be the unworried about profit potential and figuring out what is actually good and adding that into those protocols. But guess what? Guess who's funding CDC? Big Pharma's funding CDC. I'm like sitting here going, can't we take out of the $7 or $9 billion budget we got on an annual basis? Can't we take $1 billion or $2 or 10 and say, go over there and study alternative medicine all day long? I think JFK, Robert Kennedy, will do that. I hope he is doing that.
Well, he's scared. He's scaring the pharmaceutical companies.
Yes, he is.
Yeah.
And so is Trump. And so is a lot of other people, and they deserve to be scared. I'm sorry, you deserve to be scared. I've literally had doctors, or I remember one of her old doctors trying to get her to try a new drug. Because guess who had been at his office that day? The pharmaceutical rep brought in cookies and lunch, and she had an appointment after lunch, and guess what? The doctor was already hawking was that particular thing.
They were saying that the polling came out, and of course Trump is at the top of the thing. RFK is right below him as the second most predominant person in the administration because of the fact that he's just so.
MAGA is real, and we need to incorporate those people in what we're doing.
And with the vitamin C, just for yourself and everyone here, it's best to get a non-China based vitamin C. And a lot of things coming out of California are a China connection, because the China-based vitamin C's, which most of them are, so every single vitamin pill over the counter is China-based, has a large amount of glyphosate in it. So it would be better to look for a pure source. And you can take a large amount of it, and it's water soluble. It just passes through your body. You really risk very little. And if you were very, very sick, you can go to some IV clinics around town that will give you a very, very large dose, intravenously, because your stomach will not process extremely well as going straight into the IV. So anyone who's in desperate shape can absolutely benefit from a $120 IV.
Yeah, my wife, she got really, really sick, and I decided to go get one of those IVs. Could barely walk in. I had to hold her to walk in. They put her in a special room because she might be contagious. And they put this IV in her, and she walked out.
Yeah.
And so she was fine after she walked out. She was better for quite a while afterwards.
It's like 25 times more powerful than the maximum dose.
Right, but why are we not having the medical professionals and insurance covering that but they'll cover my chemo, which, the gross price, top price, on the explanation of benefits for one day is like $55,000. Now they only pay about 10% or $6,000.
Well,
but I mean, why won't they add in $120 thing?
Well, you just answered your own question.
Well, yes, I did, but I just want everybody else to. We're trying to
sorry.
bring it on back.
I'm
Land the plane is what they tell. Right? But it's all about the money.
It is.
Right.
We just need to get the medical profession to do their job.
Yeah.
Arguing with a bunch of people that women are dying because of the way the law's written. Well, you take the law out and it says, basically the law says, we're legislators, we don't know how to do medicine, so doctors, you tell us what a medical emergency is and the law will protect you, and according to standard medical practices. And the doctors are getting up there saying, oh no, we don't know how to save lives, our procedures are killing people, we need you to create a law that'll stop us from killing people. She goes down, high fives the woman next door, the woman next door gets up and says, we don't need legislators to tell doctors how to do their job.
Really?
And then she'll go back and high five the OBGYN. It's just, this is what's going on. This is basically half the argument that the pro-aborts are saying right now, is that the medical community does not know how to take care of women. But they're blaming the law. They're not blaming their own standard practices.
Right.
So why isn't the medical community saying we're killing people? What's wrong with this?
It's very interesting, and that's why I tell people. I mean, we can watch the arguments on the legislative video and all that kind of stuff, but what be sitting in the room and seeing what's going on behind the camera, the high five, that type of stuff. That's where you really figure out who's who.
I'm being a little exaggerating, but that's essentially what's going on. Is half the OBGYNs get up there and says, we don't know how to take care of women. We need you to abolish this law because we're killing people, because our own standards are making us kill people. And then the next person gets up and says, we don't want legislators to tell doctors how to do their job. And no one's connecting the double standard that's being said that day.
Right, but we are trying to point it out because what they want is status quo, right? So what they're trying to do is confuse the legislators or give them an out, saying, "Well, doctors told us this or this," you know, and they're counter arguing themselves because it's part of their calculated plan to sit there and maintain the status quo. We saw that status quo maintained, at least so far, with the closed primaries debates.
Yeah.
You know, because they confused it. I mean,
So bad,
you know, the SCGOP bill is not a closed primary; it's about candidate qualification. You know, that's what it's about, and they
So-
happen to have some closed primary stuff in there.
Just
You know,
because
as opposed to
they
pure
don't
closed
like
primaries.
Pasco. They're trying to stop Pasco from running.
Right, but they created enough confusion. You know, we certainly didn't get a vote or a discussion by the committee. You know, last week or the week before last.
They still ain't voted on it.
And guess what? They win because they created a status quo thing, and everybody thinks, well, you know, some people have said, oh, they're now blaming us for trying to push, you know, a harder, just a closed primary bill. And while we were, you know, end up having to play defense and fight against a candidate qualification bill. So, I mean, it's two different issues, and people who can't connect those dots and see what the real manipulation, the real desire of the establishment was they had no change.
Yep.
That's what they're getting. You know, the real desire of the pro-life movement is to have no change. I'm sorry, the pro-abort movement is to have no change because they know they can't win the argument of, oh, well, instead of 6 weeks, let's go back to 12. They're not going to win that argument. So they're playing, oh, we don't want it to go to 0.0,
Yeah.
which
Which
is what
would-
we're arguing.
Which will shut down the clinics because basically it would shut down the clinics because if you don't have a clinical diagnosable pregnancy, all the doctors can do at that point is give them morning after pills if they had unprotected sex. But the 3 clinics are not going to survive giving morning after pills when the people can go to Walmart, they can go to Costco, they can go to Walgreens, CVS, even Amazon, and get the stuff, get the morning after pills. These clinics cannot compete against that.
Right. Because there's not enough money.
Yeah. So
So they're wanting to keep their clinics open so they can keep their jobs and keep making their money and pay for their $1 million, $500,000, $2 million house in the lake house or wherever else they do with this stuff. It's like, it's really disgusting to think that you make your money off of the death of children. And you know, I saw there was something about, I think, Spain is going to give amnesty to 500,000 illegal immigrants over there, which is about the size of the illegal community. They say it's between 500 and 700,000. So they're going to give it to everybody. But the Spanish birth rate is 1.1. For every female, there's 1.2 children. So obviously they're in the negative growth phase. Made me think about, well, why don't we look at what the U.S., we're at 1.6 per female. So we are decreasing in that sense. So I mean, but legal immigration is fine, bringing the people have to assimilate, all that kind of stuff. They really don't want a bunch of Catholics coming from Poland, you know. So they want all these people that are Somali or willing to go communist and vote for the Democratic Party.
They don't want to just assimilate. They want their own
Yes.
chaos and
Yes,
everything. So-
and the government dependency. I mean, they want people that are dependent upon the government.
Exactly.
And
The new God.
yes, yes.
Destruction of the economic level of the country.
Greg?
If we repeal the 16th Amendment, then it would encourage moms to stay in the home, raise the kids, increasing the birth rate.
What's the 16th?
That's the income tax.
Income tax? Okay, I hear you. Yeah.
And 14 categories.
Yeah. Federal Reserve, yeah. Which we all learned.
You passed them too. Just by you tax what you want to control. So if you tax the income, what are you doing? You're controlling
Yes.
the amount that the head of the household, which is supposed to be the man, the husband,
Can bring in.
but he can bring in. Therefore, the wife has to go out and work. Has to. If you want to live at a certain level. If you want to live at a lower level, it's possible for women to satisfy the needs. But by doing away with the income tax, it would change the attitude of the society so that, yes, we would then start.
Be a lot more money to spend.
There's the tax and spend part, federal government, and even your state and or local. There's 2 halves to it. There's the taxing, which is to incentivize or govern behavior. You know, we all learned that as tax people. And then there's the spending side to incentivize and control behavior. They don't, if you remove the taxing side, you've removed 50% of their power. That's why they don't want to get rid of it. That's why, in theory, if you could really go to the nth degree, which I'm not sure you could, but live off the revenue of not taxing people and live off tariffs and all that kind of stuff, you know, then they would only have 50% of their power in how they spend it. They don't want to give up the income tax. It's not gonna happen. Now we need to talk about it and figure it out. But that's why that battle is there.
Prior to 1913, prior to the 16th Amendment being adopted, money was raised through tariffs. We had minimal debt. So between the 16th Amendment and the Fed, we've actually given Congress a blank checkbook and say, hey, spend what you want, and then just tax it to cover it.
And that's why we have so much fraud.
And that's why, that added to the fraud, because all they care about is having the money and being able to give it to people. They're not looking at how to spend it efficiently. They're just looking to give it to people that will support their power base.
Yeah, exactly.
So there's a lot of things.
Both sides.
A lot of pieces.
Yeah, and it's the uniparty side of it. It's not, and we're seeing it now with the budget that's being passed. And I don't know if they worked out a deal last night. I know they were closed. The 2-week thing, yada yada.
They pushed a temporary 2-week extension, but the House has still got to approve it.
So
They said they were coming back till
Monday or Tuesday.
Yeah, the House wasn't coming back.
Hopefully people show up at their job. Well, I don't, but we'll see. Yeah, that's right. But a lot of this is depressing once you get to see it and understand it, but you have to understand it before you can fix it. So, we're big into telling people about stuff, how, pull back the curtain and understand it. I tell people I don't like 95% of the politicians or elected officials out there, and I can't tell you the 5% I like. Maybe there's a few that I general, but I mean, it's because of what they do and what their goals and their internal human desires are. Everybody runs for office to get to a higher level. We literally watched a training video either this week or 2 weeks ago that talked about, what do politicians want? They want to, get elected, then they want to get reelected, and then they want to run for higher office. Yep. And we need to get people in these spots so they can hold those spots, maintain those spots.
Look at our governor.
This is the same group that supports the Freedom Caucus. What did the Freedom Caucus do? Adam Morgan becomes somebody, then he wants to run for Congress. And Adam Stewart Jones is somebody, then he wants to run for Congress. They're doing the same damn thing. They're teaching people what to do.
All you gotta do is look at our governor's house. Huh? Look at the governor's house. He's been in politics forever. He was the attorney general. Then he became lieutenant governor, and then governor. It's like he's been there for 2 decades at least.
Speaking of the Freedom Caucus, they were running a commercial this morning on Newsmax for donations.
Oh yeah, it's coming. It's Don't tell. I mean, but part of that, the South Carolina Freedom Caucus national, yeah,
not the state. Okay.
Well, maybe they've realized that the Freedom Caucus is not getting very much of a direction with Donald Trump. Because some of them have been a thorn in his side.
And it was quite nice.
I think one of them's running for governor.
It was a good commercial.
It was a quite nice commercial. It was fairly long for, that kind of thing.
And you see, some other people here locally now trying to push for, we need money, money, money. I'm like, you guys got more money than anybody can shake a stick at. And I'm like, who's sending all these mailers? And who's sending? Go look up Young Americans for Liberty. And I'm not complaining. There's dark money on both sides. There's dark money everywhere. But don't pretend, I'm not getting the dark money. I mean, well, we're not getting the dark money. but it's out there. Don't point, that's why the big battle is going on down at the South Carolina State House on the House side, is because the Republican caucus is sick and tired of those guys pointing a finger at them while they're doing the same damn thing. And I'm like, don't be a hypocrite about it. you know, because we had gone to the Freedom Caucus, hey, instead of taking the dark money and working with those people, and their dark money is pushing what? School choice, convention of states. Government, yes, government
Government-run school
certified. Thank you very much for correcting me on that, because that is a
It's
huge
big
distinction.
difference.
You're right.
Big
We'll talk a little about that. But pushing the government-run school choice, because that's what Jim meant, and you know what they've been pushing, and they're pushing, which none of them ever believed in. They all opposed government anything, and they're pushing government-run school choice. To the debt, there's a solution that's even better and non-government. And then number two, pushing convention states.
Yeah.
You know, we got a lot of friends that are supporters of convention of states, and I'm certainly a very big supporter of what their goals and desires with the convention of state. I'm all about term limits, and I understand the arguments against term limits. I'm all for balanced budgets and all that kind of good stuff that they're trying to accomplish. I'm not necessarily sold as of yet on, oh, we should go change the U.S. Constitution in a free for all. I just don't. And it's funny. I think they've actually tried, and we'll get you guys next if you're cool with it. Okay, if you can pull up GOP Plus, do you is it okay for you to pull up any of them? And we'll put that on the screen, and we're going to talk about GOP Plus and what these guys are doing on the legislative side a little bit. But where was I? But you know. I don't know, but the hypocrisy is what bothers me. Don't be a hypocrite about it. And I was going to say,
sponsoring term limit bill by running way over the proposed term limit.
Yes. When you sponsor and file a term limit bill where you are already past the term limits in the bill that you filed, I get the argument.
The law is not in place yet, so I can keep running.
Yeah.
I know, and I get that. I mean, we've talked about it with our precincts and all that kind of stuff, and but it's these jobs aren't forever. You should train people to know and find and do the type of stuff, but it's a funny thing. It really is. And okay, so what we're going to do next, if anybody would like to do a quick demo of what these guys present. They were supposed to present some GOP Plus at our Zone 7 meeting on Wednesday, and that got canceled because of the weather, and the library closed early, so I think they're anxious to do their GOP Plus presentation. Did y'all have a PowerPoint, or you just want to talk through?
We can put GOP Plus on the screen, and then I can talk to it. Austin will correct me, or Austin wants to jump up. We're both involved with developing it. This guy writes fantastic front ends.
He writes all the stuff that goes out, gets all the data, puts it in the database, and then I make it available.
There's a movie called Dumb and Dumber. This movie is Smart and Smarter. Complimenting. I don't know which one of the characters you want to start it. You don't let me finish my joke. Smart and Smarter. Go on. Present.
Okay. So are we able to show the GOP Plus on
She's
the
going
other
to put it
screen?
up there. If you can add the screen onto the podcast, that'd be great.
I just stop putting it until you actually talk about it.
Oh, yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, we're looking for a production person because my production person yells at me a lot.
No,
You don't think
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to bark at you.
Face it down.
Oh, Lord.
He's vagabond.
Is this somebody's ringtone?
Say, brother,
Daughter puppy.
oh, puppy, okay.
Run.
Welcome. This is our GOP.plus website. So you can go to just GOP.plus. Literally, there's all this. It's not just no .com, no, just the .plus. And this is what we started off. We used it mainly for our voter databases and all that kind of stuff. There are 3.2 or 3.5 million voters in the state of South Carolina. I don't think you can actually get an Excel spreadsheet of more than 1.1 million lines. So it is like a bear to be able to manage even the data that we have. So this data, the front end, it's in Austin Scott's done the database side of it. Austin's done the front end side of it to be able to sit there and work with and look at 3.5 million voter records, actually 3.5 million times several multiples, because we got different data files, and to be able to get that, and instead of working on, oh, let me pull it out of a spreadsheet and forward you. I mean, no, we're not.
The spreadsheets going everywhere.
Yeah, it doesn't work. So this is a solution for that. But what has become necessary, and certainly two pieces up here in Greenville with our legislative committee, which Frank Gunther over there operates as our chair of, is being able to look at the data, the bills, and analyze the bills, download stuff, put it into Grok and AI and all that kind of stuff to really kind of compare and contrast bills and statutes and those types of things out there. And what we're doing in Greenville that they dialed up a little bit is we're looking at a lot of zoning and all of that stuff. So we're pulling data out of the Greenville County zoning stuff to be able to get our people. That's our big fight up here, is fighting the mass overdevelopment. I mean, we're all about improving things, and we're okay with that, but it's just been crazy up here. And I think one of the something was up before the Planning Commission this week over at Pebble Creek. Tennis courts. They wanted to take the tennis courts out of Pebble Creek, the country club over there, and build more, I guess, townhomes.
Oh, no.
Apparently, it got shot down 9-0.
Actually, then it's 8-1.
Or 8-1. So we got to get one person off. we got to nail down one more. So
Tennis.
was it? Well, it was the county council, the planning commission, and hopefully that sticks. And I'll give a lot of credit. Deborah Manning is on there. Some other folks on there. They've been holding the line. This is what we got. I mean, realize we get people on these boards and commissions. We get you on there. You need to hold the line, not start flipping because they brought in a consultant and they finally explained to me the way it really actually works. And you know what? They were right all the time. That's what we got when we got a person onto the library board and then went silent. Wants to report to be a big conservative and doing all this kind of stuff. But when we had an opportunity,
County council actually went to the other side.
well, some county council members have gone to the crazy other side, and we'll discuss that as we got our June primaries for county council coming up. And the school board too. There's been some people that on the school board that have been a bit disappointed, but let me hand it over and go back to my cubicle and do a tax return.
Screen that we're not talking about, as I said.
Okay, so
That's where you're.
Yeah, the person that doesn't like to talk.
Log in.
Austin's gonna come over here
Don't even move.
with me. No, just grab a chair from somewhere else. So Austin is the master of this front end, but as a user of it, not being the developer architect of it, it's kind of nice for me to explain it from my perspective, and then he'll correct me. So, but what you want to do when you first go to the website, if you want to go back one.
Once you're approved, you can click the.
Yeah. So you see where it says members. How it works is you create an account. We're not going to go through the account creation or anything. This isn't really training. It's just introduction. But you create an account. Jeff over here approves you. So we have the three of us that work on it. I'm the data janitor. Jeff approves access, and he architects the front end. So,
and I think what we will do, and we haven't talked about it, but I think we'll try to roll this out on the legislative side and get a lot more people signed up.
Yeah,
this is kind of a preview of what's coming out on the rollout of it.
So, so you get here, and once you're approved, you can click on members. That'll be active, and you click on members.
A little bit of background before we start. The reason I wrote this is because it's one thing to be able to go in and research legislation and find bills and go, yeah, I want to watch that one. It's another thing to have to go in every day to look for things. It would be better if the system went in and looked for you all the time. And when it detects something you're interested in, it sends you an email. You click the link, you're right where you can either look at the bill or whatever. So the idea is that you can manage your alerts. A lot of systems that do that, they'll spam you to death. You'll get 600 messages a day. With this, you can say, I want to get them Tuesday morning, Tuesday afternoon. You've got morning, evening, and noon to pick time slots, and you can pick any day of the week or every day. You also have an option for a certain type of alert to send immediately when it happens. If you set favorites, you have a favorite bill, it will send immediately. because it's a favorite.
And I will add in, it's a bit conspiratorial, but it's been my experience that using the legislative login, or the one that the legislature puts out to be able to track bills, review bills, all that kind of stuff. They have their own system,
Right.
and you should try it and use it too. But I will tell you, I have had bad experiences where it doesn't report stuff,
It
that
may or
you're
may not
missing,
be what you
and I'm
want.
like, I'm like, why is that? And partially, I believe they don't want us finding certain things.
Well,
this is more democratized, and it's just
Yeah,
here's the data,
yeah, it just is what it is.
We're not
We
going to be hiding things.
Yeah, we don't have a reason to
Yeah.
remove something, or so what'll happen on the legislative tracker tool that the state offers is that, as what I found personally is that when House members or senators remove themselves from bills, it doesn't come across. It doesn't
It's not
show.
considered a change.
So
in that.
it's a great, it's like, oh, I'm supporting this bill, and it goes out, and then wink, wink, I will remove myself 2 weeks later, and no one knows. So you think your senator is great, or your House member is great, but they're really not, or maybe they are, and they
Unless you go look at the bill,
Yeah.
and look at the sponsor list,
and you have to keep
and go, oh,
watching.
that name's not in there, and that's cumbersome.
Okay, so let's jump over. I think we should go with legislative research.
Right.
And what you can do is you can put in the text of your bill, and again, I'll go through the training. But let's do right to life. What's a good buzzword to put in there? I mean, it's not a buzzword. Sorry. What's a good word in legislation that would show up on all the bills you're interested in?
Pro-life.
Pro-life. Okay, so let's put in.
Actually, abortion.
Yeah, I'll
Probably
do
abortion.
abortion as well.
Abortion.
Now, this isn't the only way. Like, there's several. There's within that text, you can put in abortion, space, pro-life, space, whatnot. But we're going to go with that. Okay, and then click search.
What do you want to search for?
Oh, no, it doesn't talk to you yet. That was my watch.
Space two.
Okay, so you can see that they're
But see,
currently.
the word pro is in every bill.
Okay, so let's
So you have, and I'm
Right.
working on that. I'm
Yeah,
working on
yeah.
that.
So let's go up and do the search. Let's just do abortion. There we go.
Now, if you wanted to exclude pro, you could put
Yeah.
minus pro. And it would, there's all kinds of options. And even if you did title containing abortion, that would be fine. But yeah, there's a lot of bills.
So what you could do, you see the little star on the left. You can favorite certain ones. This is the brilliance that Austin put into this. You can favorite certain ones, and then above,
If
If
you
you
roll it back
scroll-
up, when you first go into this, what it does is it shows you your favorites by default.
yeah.
So
So
I see it
Oh,
shows
here
here
where it says
28 bills.
yeah. So go up, look where it says favorites, and click on that little There you go. And now, this is what's really lovely about this thing is that you can as you pop in later, you will always get your favorites when you go in, and then you can search and add more favorites into the as a star. So when you start, it becomes a favorite. Now,
Yeah, you haven't looked at any yet, so you don't have any
Yeah.
cases.
So
But if you look at one,
yeah,
it shows it to you on the website.
yeah, it goes to the actual website for you to read it, and then you can go back. Okay, so what I wanted to press upon with everyone with this research is the ability to keep your list and watch it, add to it, keep favorites, go in and see. You can see what's there. You can go and read it and everything, but you don't have to keep your eye on this all the time because we're doing that for you. I have a process that goes out and gets the data on a daily basis. Okay. Austin wrote alerts where you will get an email if you sign up for it as anything changes, or like he was discussing a little bit earlier, at your time frame. What I want to do is jump. Let's go back to home, please.
Or members.
Members. I apologize. Well, anyway, and click on settings. Thanks, old.
That's not your alert settings.
Oh,
Go back to
sorry.
members.
Okay, messed up.
Manage alerts.
Manage alerts.
That's
There
the
it
new.
is. Okay. It might be my account that has it because you haven't enabled everybody yet.
Yeah, that's a bug.
Okay.
It should be. it should be showing you all the different types
Okay.
of alerts,
So
and you can manage when you want to get them. You know, when a bill is changed, when a bill is added.
do you want me to come over there and log in as me?
Is it your account or? Okay.
Yeah, so you're just not, Austin only enabled, he and
Well,
I
I
are.
preloaded some favorites, some
Yeah.
alerts for me and Scott, so they're in there. And that's telling me when you go in, it's not.
So what'll happen here,
You write that in, you can log in and password there. I'll pass the card so you can log in. Or you can walk
Yeah,
out.
so you go over there and log
I'm
in.
gonna try to, but I think my password's cached.
Yeah, I'll do it.
Why don't you go ahead
Yeah,
and
I'll
log
do
in,
it.
Judy?
I'll do it.
Thank you. So cool thing, what you're gonna see here in a minute is
I'm
that
trying to go around.
you'll see all the types of alerts and you can select those alerts and start getting them on your phone. Either as we discover the change, because I only pull data once a day, but I can start pulling it multiple times a day if I want it. But you'll get the alert as it happens or as I go out and get data, right? Or on your schedule, like if you want it weekly on Mondays to get all the changes that you're looking at, and you'll get them in one email, not in 500 emails or anything. And it'll be a reduced sort of too long didn't read format. TLDR means that it's kind of grouped down into what's important. And Austin has done a really good job making sure that it's readable, that it's in concise language and simple enough to go, okay, these are the bills that change and the ones you want to look at, whatnot. So he's going to log in here in a minute. What's interesting about this process is that it's all running off of a tiny little single board computer that Austin, the day you were elected to your role, gave me. He's like, I was like, oh, that's so cool. That's a single board computer. He's like, yeah, you can have it. There you go.
I got
Do
a
something with it.
couple to play
And,
with.
and so he handed this to me, and I'm like, what can I do with this thing? And I thought, well, I'm gonna give it a shot. And so it's running, it's collecting the data for this all the time. The thing that costs like $20. I mean, it's
Don't give away every secret.
Doing what million-dollar systems do for
But,
$50.
Yes.
it's just interesting that when
Because
you-
it really didn't cost them $20 million. They spent 50 and they pocketed the rest.
yes, exactly. So it's interesting how you can, if you take different approaches to looking at how you can do something, how cheap you can actually get it done. So thank you for the single board computer,
Yeah.
and it's in there doing its business.
So when the program's working correctly and you log in and go to members, you'll get a manage alerts. And when you click on that,
There you go.
now, each of these alerts, we can see we have about 9 or 10 different ones, and we can put new ones in very easily. If Scott finds out that he can get Spartanburg rezoning, all he has to do is get that little board, put it into a table in the database. I can add it here real easily, and you can manage it. So you can see most of mine, I have them, if you want to turn them off, you can just turn them off. And if they're on, they're going to send you alerts. If they're off, you can leave them in there, but turn them off. Now I have most of mine set to immediate, which means you can either choose immediately. So right when it's detected, whenever it's imported, right when it's detected, it'll send you the message. Or you can say, I want it every single day. When you choose one of the days, you can do it morning, noon, and evening. Morning is 8 o'clock, noon, 8 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
So if you want all your alerts in the evening, I didn't want to complicate it with times of day and all that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Morning, noon, evening, any combination. You can even say, well, I want it every time. But what this does is it stops when 75 bills get modified. You don't want 75 emails. And when 75 things get modified and you've got it set to immediate, it's smart enough to collect them all together and then send them to you in one email. So, and I'll show you, I might be able to log in here and show you what the alerts actually look like. But they're just emails that have it. But this is where you set your alerts up and when you want them. And then when they happen, you get emails.
So let's go back to members.
Okay.
And so I do want to show the Greenville County zoning.
Oh, this one. Okay.
Yeah.
So this is a different source of alerts.
Yeah. And so this will be alerts the same way. We'll set it up and whatnot. Well, actually, the alerts are already set up for it. But the interesting thing is, I had a conversation with Pat Reynolds on Simpsonville page this morning, and she's doing, I have we have a funny relationship because she's kicked me off her page a few times, but I deserved it, honestly. But I will admit it, I deserved it. So, but she's looking into rezoning, and through Simpsonville Residents, that original page, she noticed this morning she had something really nice to say. Scroll up a little bit, if you don't mind. Do you see where it's portion of? See this docket right here? They were trying to figure out. There's two plaques that were split up, but they're the same docket. It was really confusing, and she appreciated the fact that we have portion of that land, because they're trying to figure out whether they're going to do both pieces of the land for rezoning. Both are a mess, but it's only one of them, so at least they know which one to focus in on. And the idea is that look at the information we've got. You scroll up to the headers. We've got the property ID number. That's why I said portion of property ID number. Parcel ID doesn't show up all the time, but look at this. It's got the property address, the owner name, the requested zoning, and that's important because what are they trying to get out of the rezoning? Are they trying to turn it from, into whatever? Some of these rezoning, I'm still learning them, but let's say they're trying to switch it to zoning that is something we really don't want in the county or in a city. In this case, it's the county. This is great because we could have a list of rezoning that's bad, and it could show up as another color or another font or something. And
the nice thing is there's a view button. When you click view, you're actually viewing it on the website.
Yeah. So it takes you to the website.
And from there you can view the maps and everything else.
Yeah, that's something we didn't want to do. Is like we want you to help you do research faster and get alerts, but we also want you to go directly to the source,
right.
And look at the data there.
And just so people know on the screen, from home, you're not seeing when Austin clicks on something, it's pulling up another browser page. It did for us because through this system, it doesn't. You got to change it, but that's okay. Don't worry about it. But that's a functionality that's there.
Yeah.
When they click on it on the legislative stuff, it pulled up the legislative website, and and we're clicking on here. It takes something to
So you'll actually look at it.
Yeah, you'll be able to see. It's not showing up on this screen though. But my question is for you guys, and I don't know, does it include the annexation stuff or just the rezoning?
Annexation is. I tell you what, I
know annexation by cities is becoming a bigger and bigger issue. I'm just curious, and it doesn't necessarily need to. I'm just curious.
No, the cities. That's the next thing on my list. The problem is the cities don't have the same. And actually, I rail against this.
And the annexation may go through the counties.
No,
there may be
annexation is through the city. So
yeah, but I mean the county may report all potential annexations.
True. And I'll look for that. But
just something to think about. Frank, maybe you know.
Well, I don't want to derail that, but actually I do want to derail that.
Speak loud.
Back to the.
Get closer.
You put me on the members so I can do. Favorites. Yeah, that's my first request. Now, if I set a favorite back in the legislative, if we're back in the legislative pool, right? And then I have my favorite bill.
Well, these are my favorites because I'm the one here.
Yeah, I know, but I'll set mine up. There's a couple of bills, 3 bills I'm on. Now they put out calendars for meetings, like go to subcommittee meetings.
Yes.
Can you set it up where I can get an alert that this guy put on a calendar for they issue a calendar like once a week or whatever. All the subcommittees, committees have meetings. They say, okay, this bill, because that's one of my frustrations is that you follow the bill, then you have to go look at all it.
Yeah.
Well, so can I get an alert that says, oh, it's Tuesday. It's Tuesday. We've published the calendars. This bill will be on this calendar.
Yeah.
And at least I can go look at the calendar, or they can say it's scheduled to be heard at the subcommittee at this meeting. And we'll give you 3 days advance, and I can drive down and go.
Right now, the answer is when you click on view to view the bill. Again, you may not be seeing this, but so we're on the website. If what you're looking for that's changed is on here, then you
Okay.
will get an alert because it's a change. But if there's a different part of the website,
It's a different part of the website.
then tell
Yeah,
him
yeah.
and see if we can start pulling that.
It's something we may be able to incorporate. It's not part of changes to the
Yeah.
legislative bill.
This is
Correct.
kind of a request.
Yes.
I'm
Oh, yeah,
thinking
yeah.
it
No,
has,
I'll-
so I'll show you.
Yeah,
You can talk
yeah.
offline.
Yeah.
I'll show you. There's like- They publish calendars and all the committees.
And they'll change them at the last minute.
Yes. Well, there's 2 points. Number one, you can go look at the State House website
That's
and it can give you an alert about that. I think it can do an alert.
I get all.
Use
the
that
alerts right now.
temporarily. We can maybe build something as a backup, secondary.
I'll be training on the using the website.
Yeah, yeah.
And then this would be a request.
Okay.
Yeah.
For more work for you guys.
Yeah, I'll also tell you, realize Freedom of Information Act, 24 hours. I've seen them change things, take things on, put things on, take things off within 24 hours. And it's, they do it on purpose.
I know, they have a disclaimer at the bottom of
Yes.
the calendar. These could be on the agenda, and these agendas change it all the time. So
Yes.
all those.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So I'm aware of that, but it'd be nice rather than, me being lazy and say, oh, hey, it's gonna come up next week, so.
That, you know what, guys, I think that sounds like a $10,000 fix, and thank you for volunteering. Thank you, volunteers, for funding that.
To do the feasibility study.
Oh, yeah, he's right, 10,000 just to do the feasibility study.
Study to see if we can work on
That has to be outsourced to another area.
That's right.
We need a subcommittee to
I'll
look into this.
Debbie, talk to my contact at USAI.
Yeah, you're right.
See what I can do for
I'm
you.
telling you, money's tight. We're studying the sexual preferences of tree frogs.
According to the legislation, there's maybe five or six different alerts you can get. If a new bill shows up.
Yeah.
That would be one. If anything in the text of the bill changes at all, that's another one.
Yeah.
Every one of these bills has a date at the bottom that says this webpage was last updated. If that changes, you get an alert.
Okay.
I haven't taken the sponsor list apart and looking at it what it was before, and if somebody drops their name or adds their name, you can get a specific alert for that part of things, and it will tell you who is different, and it saves a lot of work. And I'm also working on. I don't have it splitting apart the legislative actions. It does detect that an action has changed, but you have to click on the link and go look at the actions and kind of figure out what it was.
Yeah.
But if you use the tool and there's a part of the bill that you're interested in tracking changes on specifically, I'll see if I can separate that out and make it a separate alert.
Yeah. Well, this is how the legislative tracking tool, because this is integrating with it, in a fashion. You can sign up for alerts through legislative tracking, and I get them all the time. I mean, I can't read them all because they're all separate alerts. I mean, I get these emails constantly, and so we could probably work something out where we can have an email account that gets all the alerts, and then we parse through it. Yeah, exactly. That's what I was going to suggest. We can do that. Basically, they have to email us first. Now, of course, they're going to change something on the website. I have to go in and change how I pull the data so you can see it, but it's still worth it because at least we can keep up on what they're doing. But it's a constant. I will tell you, every day in the morning, I log in to see my process, made sure I read log files and everything. It's been since November. I've been doing that, and it's a constant thing. So as we get more and more counties involved, it's going to be, because you do have to watch it every day. You can't just let this go.
Automate the watching.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of automating that I've already done, but the idea is for legislation. Let's get this to all counties. We can start pulling data from all counties. Hopefully, the websites are kind of consistent, but if not, I can handle it.
This alert system that I put in GOP Plus is designed to be used for multiple counties and multiple states.
Yeah.
There's nothing that ties it to a small area.
So us data janitors, we've got you've got a process that's not going to change. Mine is going to be unique for each different county, most likely.
Yeah.
So, but that's fine. That's just the way it is.
Anyway,
So, and also don't forget the Gen AI features on there.
Okay.
So Gen AI,
Okay, so
Yeah, this is a feature that if I'm interested in these two bills, or these two at the top here, and I know that they're not really like that, but if I wanted to compare these two bills or do research on them, I can click the Gen AI All, and these little help things will tell you what the different buttons do and what they're for. But if I want to generate an AI file for all of these in the list, I can click that. But if I want to pick, I can do this, and I can choose, I want this bill and this bill into a file that we can feed to Scott to have, or yourself.
Yeah.
This Gen AI file takes it a split second, and then I click download, and I download the file, and it's right here. And I can go to the folder, or I probably can click it and open it.
So with this,
This file, AI can look at this file, it has all the bills in it.
so what I recommend here, because sometimes there's strange little characters in the text file, and so what I recommend is copy all your text and drop it to an AI, and then start asking questions against it. And I've done that for all the bills at once, or I've grabbed a few bills or a group of them, and I use Grok mostly for that. And I can ask questions of, I need a TLDR, meaning too long didn't read, a TLDR version of all these bills. And Grok gave me a perfectly, just list of the way I can understand it. I don't write bills or whatnot. I don't have that kind of brain, but Grok does. So, Grok helped me learn what these bills were very, very quick. Also, this process found, I know we have a couple closed primary bills out there, and this process found a third, the actual good one. I think it's Joe White's, the one that's not so, parsed apart. It's very straightforward. So, but yeah, AI can help. AI, it's not alive or anything. It's just coded, and it's got a database design that allows the code to read from it and answer your questions. But definitely worth it in this case, because we can understand bills across the board. We can also start looking for a legislator has mentioned this recently. I can't remember which one did, but they will sprinkle legislation they want, like they have a goal, and they will sprinkle what they want in different bills all over the place. And depending on if all those bills pass, we're not really looking at the whole picture, but they know their whole picture. They've got these 10 bills that now the law is built. It's really hard to detect. I mean, it is.
And what we used to look at it as in the tax world, they make a change to one thing. The joke was always pretend it's a balloon. Make a change over here, press something here, something pops out over there. So there's always, it's like, sometimes you think it's unintended consequences, but sometimes it's nefarious, consequences. Or they did something over here, so you're not looking over here, and something else changes over there that benefits them substantially. So,
Well, that's a big way the U.S. government's been getting things accomplished for centuries.
The what?
Riders on bill. They'll attach little things.
Oh, yeah.
They're called riders. And that's how a lot of things get accomplished for the military.
Yeah.
So I know that everybody gets a commission has to be approved by Congress. And the way they do it, they take a list and they attach it to a bill that they believe is going to pass. This rider has the names of all the people they commission. And that's how it gets done. And they do that with taxes, they do that with everything. So you really got to watch riders.
Yeah. Well, the way South Carolina works, I don't think that's in there.
I know, I'm just.
But no, I mean, I look for it
Same
because,
concept.
yeah.
And I think it'll be interesting when we get the budget information that's in there as they start going through that process, how we can pick up things in the budget, what AI may identify in the budget.
Hey, would you
and all that
throw
kind
in
of
the
stuff?
word budget and search for it?
Yeah.
Because I just saw a bill.
In the title or in the description?
Just in the search there, just put in.
But they will put all kinds of things in the budget. Oh, this law is temporarily, well, I hate to say the law, but different things are suspended for a year.
Oh, sorry.
And all that kind of stuff. It's a lot of things in the budget that they hide.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about. That and that's me pulling the data. Sometimes there's just strange data in there, so I have to figure that out. That's on me. Okay, that's the one. It was 4025. I was looking at this morning, and I was trying to figure out.
I can.
Austin, can you go back one?
Okay.
What was interesting about this?
We go back to this.
Yeah. Notice the web page hasn't been updated. Do you see the?
Yeah, this column shows you the date we last detected the change and the date that the web page says it was last updated.
Yeah.
And you get a little green check mark if they're okay.
Yeah, they're the
You
same.
get a red thing right here that says there's no, this budget. The budget is one of the only bills in there that does not have a thing at the bottom, and it does not have, it's formatted a little different than every other bill.
Got it.
But that web update status, if we detect a change on Tuesday and they said it hasn't been changed since last week, that's a flag. It shows.
Yeah. So we're kind of watching. We know when we go and look, which is daily, and we can tell when it was last changed based on that because we do a compare. I actually compare the text. You compare it another way, but when I go and get the data, it's compared, and I can tell what's new. And there's some other features on that I've learned in the back end, like history that I'm holding, but it's not the history that you're holding. But no, we're doing our best just to federate the data. I think that's the best way. Democratize the data.
Yeah.
So
hopefully, and I would can't wait for the day we can tie into what hopefully Mike Burkhold will be able to do with the checks and contracts and all that stuff. That's I mean,
and I think
people need to see what's going on. And I think that's what Elon Musk and those guys with Doge. They got access somehow to the back ends of a lot of stuff in the federal stuff. They maybe they didn't have to worry about confidentiality, so they could just look at it themselves, and come up with the conclusions and all that kind of stuff. Fine, there's a lot of stuff to be found. So I really think that.
So yeah, we're working hard for you, all of us. Try again.
All right. I don't know. We can still be heard, but we are here. I think I'm supposed to be on this way, so I can look up. Yeah. All right.
Open this to share it on that. Is that what it is?
We're back. Are we back on? We're back on. I'm looking on YouTube. I see us there. So, all right. So it is one. I don't know if there's any final things we want to talk about or conclude. Because obviously it was a big week. It's going to snow at 5 a.m. tomorrow. A lot of fun stuff going on. Anybody got anything? I could speak for hours. But,
No.
the command is gone. What? Oh, we do have the Melania movie on Sunday.
Yeah, I guess I'll keep checking the theater because they're closed.
It's at
I don't
3.
know.
I assume everything's fine. We'll find out.
Because the weather,
Well, do you senior line movie at 3:20, the tickets that I think I'll.
As long as you speak louder instead of
Yeah,
telling
movie
me what to say
movie
into
Sunday
the mic.
At 3:20, it starts at 3:20.
Speak into the mic.
Still sharing the GOP
Okay.
Plus tab.
Oh, it
Okay.
is?
Okay, Sunday.
She might be behind.
Sunday, the Melania movie at 3:20 at the
Regal
Regal
on
on
Woodruff
Woodruff
Road.
Road. We're gonna go to the afternoon.
But the movie's sold out, right? Haven't we bought all the
I
tickets?
think no, there's a few
Yeah.
left. I think all the not the handicap, but the first two rows where you like this, they're still open.
Okay.
And then afterwards going to what's the name of that restaurant? Wild Wings.
Wild Wings.
Wild
Right
Wings.
next door.
Yeah, it's right next door.
Wild Wings Cafe.
Wild Wings Cafe.
Got
Right
the
after the
outside
movie, you
reserved.
discuss. The outside's been reserved. It is heated,
All right.
and that's all I know. I don't know what if the movie theater will be open or closed due to weather. I'm assuming it's going to be open. So, just
We'll go with the flow.
go with the flow.
It'll be
And,
fine.
yeah.
But
If we find out something, we can post it.
But if you haven't got a ticket to the movie because maybe you're going early, maybe you're going later.
Yeah.
Join us for dinner.
Yes.
That's true. Did you hear that? So where is the movie?
Wild Wing Cafe.
It's
Just
just
next
the
to
movie.
on
No, the
Woodruff
movie.
Road.
the Regal Theater
Regal
on
Theater.
Woodruff Road, the 3:20 showing, and then we'll be to Wild Wings afterwards. So just find out whatever time the movie's supposed to be over.
Everyone can just come on over. Yeah, Regal Theater.
We're just there.
I know where that is.
So
Yeah,
between
we got
5:30
The one shopping
Yeah,
center.
I'm thinking about 5:30, because you know,
One
you got
shopping
your-
center south
your-
of 85.
whatever they do, the
One on
pre-
north
That's
side.
when they're
Northern
doing-
shopping
Okay, so
center.
this is not
Okay.
opposite from that gun range? On
Kind of
Regal
Near
Road?
it.
Yeah, it's
It's
near
near
that.
it.
I know where
It's-
you're-
yeah.
Is it Regal 20?
There's like, yeah,
Target area.
Hollywood.
Yeah.
More Target.
Yeah,
area.
see, that's
Where?
near the.
No, it's
No,
on Camelot.
It's the Regal on Woodruff Road.
Regal Hollywood. That's
It's near.
There's only one there.
Yeah,
It's near the Carolina Ale House.
yeah, like Cabela.
I know where it is.
Sam's, or
I know.
Costco, whatever.
Oh,
All that good
Neighbors.
stuff.
Movie theater since they raised the price at $20.
I know.
Well, that's how we're doing 3:20 movie because it's.
So matinee, and you get a senior citizen discount. Now, if you order it online, you have to pay $2 service fee per ticket.
It sucks, but
It
and what's funny is Amazon's actually sponsoring this thing. Amazon MGM
Oh, so I can watch
is
it
the
on Amazon
production.
for free?
Well, my thing is it'll probably be free in about a month.
Yeah.
It'll be on your Amazon.
Well, we'll just do a movie
And we
night.
could just do a movie night and everybody watch it for free. The tickets are sold out, so it's okay. Yeah. Terry's taking us. That's great. Thank you,
I
Terry.
am taking you.
You bought the tickets?
Well, I'm just giving you the bill yet.
Oh, is that how that works?
That's how that
You
works.
just didn't realize you're paying for her tickets.
Oh,
too.
that's
Yeah.
right. There's a $2 markup if you bought them online. There's a $20 markup if she bought it for us. So,
That's my girl.
No, I'm not. You had to go get it yourself.
Oh.
Yeah, you'll have to
There's
go
one
online.
seat left right in front of us if you want. Meaning, if you want.
I mean, like I
Bobby
said,
can sit on your lap. Bobby is his.
Anybody got a wheelchair?
I was gonna say the handicap one. The handicap one.
Roll me in there.
I mean, that's not full.
Okay, what else? Anything else of importance before we can let the other people go?
When is that meeting in April?
I think we're doing it on the 12th, the 12th or 13th, whatever the second
I
Monday.
think it's the 12th.
Not the first Monday, so I can't wait till the free fest for that. But the second
Yeah,
Monday,
the second Monday. I think it's the 12th.
Yeah.
13.
Oh, it's the 13th.
13th,
Okay.
April 3rd, Monday, April 13th, and
Location to be announced.
look at Ray. He's checking. He's like, you didn't schedule something
Oh,
on
we
the
don't know.
second Monday of.
We only get it so many
April.
days in advance.
Hopefully not. Okay, all right. Do we have a
Motion to close.
motion to adjourn? We're out. See you next week.
Oh, I thought you were
Always talk
thinking
to us.
me.
Let us know what you need, and we'll be fighting the good fight.